Happy Monday, Soulies. If you're watching this on YouTube, she's come slightly disheveled. I look like 50-50. Oh, I'm going to give myself credit. I look about 60-40 right now. Not that how I look matters, but I am a bit more aware of it recording these because the videos now go up on YouTube. That started as of last week. That's my New Year Who Dis energy. But I have just had a cry in the car. And I'm so excited to talk everything out with you guys because a lot has unfolded in the last week, and I'm just very much looking forward to unpacking everything with you guys. But I am looking forward to this week's ep for a number of reasons. The biggest being that this is a listener submitted question episode focused heavily on your business questions for me, because this weekend I celebrated 10 years working for myself. That's right, a decade ago to almost the day I saw my very first one-on-one client fresh out of a corporate career, and then embarked on a crazy 10-year journey. And if you ask me 10, 15 years ago if I would ever see myself running a business, I literally remember where I was in Sydney CBD when I turned to my corporate boss at the time and I said, I could never run my own business. And yet here I am, 10 years into it. I'm so happy and will never work for anyone else in my entire life. And you guys have submitted so many good questions. I haven't, as you guys know, I'm not an episode planner. I just speak from my heart, speak very freely. So I've seen the questions come through, but I haven't sat and planned for them. I'm literally just I've got my phone here with me. I'm going to pull them up one by one in real time and respond to them. But before I get to that part of the episode, I just want to debrief on my week that's been, because it's been a really big one since I spoke to you all last. And I think it partially is, stepping into the new year and the energy of the new year, but also the remedy that I'm on, the new homeopathic remedy I'm on, which, as you guys know, if you've been listening to the last few episodes, is known as my constitutional remedy. So this is the remedy that I have with me for life. And part of this remedy is around burning and shining really brightly, like burning my flame, shining brightly to the point where I don't burn out. And so I've only been working with this remedy a few weeks, and there obviously you need to lean into the shadow expression of the remedy, or your embodiment or lack thereof of the remedy, before it starts to become more embodied. Yeah, I guess. And so for me, I'm really being shown where I burn myself out, and a lot of it is through my work. Very ironic given, it's been 10 years in business. And I know I said a few weeks ago that I actually have never scheduled myself time off. And I think it's taking a toll, guys. I think it's really taking a toll on me. I'll probably cry again. This is actually why I cried in the car just now on the way back from my 10-year celebration with Trenny. We went to lunch at Belongel on the business, and had this beautiful meal, and it was all really good. Like I actually feeling really good. And then halfway through the meal, I was like, oh, I just feel exhausted. I just feel so tired. So I'm just really tired. She's just a really sleepy girl. And it's not fatigue. And I've said this for a few friends I've been speaking it out with over the last couple of days, like, this is all self-inflicted, and I am hyper aware of it because I'm taking this remedy that's showing me all of the ways that I live that are not sustainable from a I don't want to burn out perspective. And so I actually haven't had time off in, I don't even know. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry again. I don't know the last week I've had where I haven't worked. Sorry. Oh, I promise I'll pull it together by the time I get to your questions. But I guess this is part of it. This is the reality of like working for yourself and having no one to hold you to account, and being a sole trader and needing to make money even when it's Christmas, even when it's New Year. You still need to pay your rent. You still need to, buy presents for your daughter. And oh my God, I'm just so tired. So literally, I had my New Year's Day ceremony ritual on New Year's Day on the 1st. So from the 1st of Jan, I was up early prepping for that before we jumped on for what ended up being a 2-hour call. It was amazing. It was so good. But obviously I worked on that day. And when you're holding that many people for that amount of time, first thing, It can derail your entire day, I will be honest, because then you have to get off the call and then you're doing all the admin behind the scenes. Because at the moment, I don't have anyone doing that for me. And so I'm like, making sure everyone's received the replays and I am like putting it in the portal and waiting for it to load. And because it's a big file, it takes hours. And, it was half my day. Then I silly holes, and this is all intel for me. I hadn't cleared out my calendar. And so I've had readings from the 1st of Jan. Like I'm back at work, but I didn't have time off work. So I've just like been consistently back. So in the last 4 days, I did the 2-hour workshop. I've had 2 readings and I also ran ceremony of my own choosing, by the way. And I really need to reiterate, I'm not wallowing in victimhood. This is my doing, and this is something that I am becoming hyper aware of. But it's also, I'm so exhausted and like emotionally exhausted. So, around the big ceremony and the 2 readings, which I also loved to do. I ran a ceremony for a beautiful, beautiful friend of mine who is pregnant and going to have her baby in a few months' time. And so I gathered a couple of close friends that she was going to be visiting Byron for the day. And so I was like, we need to do this while she's here. It would mean so much for her. And so I orchestrated that and facilitated that. And that was amazing. And then we all went to lunch afterwards. And then that turned into, I think I got home at 5:30 that evening, getting up early for a reading the next day. Spent 2 hours compiling a 10 years in business post on social media. If you saw that post, that took me 2 hours. That took me 2 hours. This is why I don't really do curated content, because it takes so much time that I usually don't have. In that 4-day window, or I think that was all 3 days. Yeah, because today's only the 4th. So that was all in 3 days. My calendar, and this is the irony, wiped itself completely. This is the second time it's happened in the Virgo South Node. It makes sense to me. But it wiped itself on the 1st of January this year. And when I say it wiped itself, I mean past calendar things and all future. I have been back and forth with Apple. They've had to escalate it 3 times for 3 days. I need to wait now because it's the weekend. They'll get back to me tomorrow. I am not naive to the symbolism of my calendar wiping itself on the 1st of the year, going, holy clean slate, clear it all. What do you want to stick with, and what are you done with? And I have consciously not gone in to populate all the things. I mean, if you book readings with me, it's through the Acuity calendar. So it's an outsourced calendar anyway. So I get alerted when I have readings. So I know that I'm booked out anyway. So I am aware when I have my readings. That's fine. But all my other things like appointments and just everything for the whole year, gone. Everything from the past, gone. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of cool because it's very symbolic, but it's just an added thing for me, right? And at not at the same time. It's just kind of everything all at once. And so we went into, Belongil, the bistro at Belongil. It's new. It opened a couple of weeks ago. We've wanting to try it. We dropped my little girl to my mum, who's staying in Byron for a few more days. So they had an incredible day together. And I think it's because I got to exhale for a second where I wasn't in work mode. I wasn't in mum mode. I wasn't in friend mode. And I was able to just be with Trenny, and we never get that time. And so I think it was just in that moment, speaking this out with you all, that my body exhaled and like communicated to me how fucking tired I am and how I'm doing it to myself. It's so cliche being Capricorn season. My business is a Capricorn. Oh my God, I did the chart for the very first time ever of my business yesterday. I'll tell you guys that in a minute. It's very cool. And so it was this second where I was like, just able to eat a nice meal with my husband and like speak out my ideas for the year. I have a few. I haven't sat down and actually done my projections for this year, but just speaking it out with him. And then, it was midway through the conversation where I'm like, I'm absolutely wrecked, babe. Like, I'm so tired. Anyway, we went back to mum's accommodation and they all played in the pool and I just like slept. And I think this is one of those moments where I've had to do it to myself. I'm also day one. Are we surprised? This has been the longest luteal ever. Not the longest ever, but it's been a long one. And so I think it's all of that as well. Also, it's a culmination of everything. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been eating gluten. I've been eating a lot more of a carb heavy diet than I'm used to. I've been like inflamed because of that. I had a drink, an alcoholic drink at lunch today. I overdid it with the sauna. I don't know if I had overdone it by the time I spoke to you guys. I overdid it to the point where I had like heavy detox symptoms and needed to rein it in. And I've actually had to take a break because I overdid it. This is my shadow Capricorn. I have a Capricorn stellium. I don't know if I've told you guys this. I have Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune in a stellium in Capricorn in my seventh house. And the full moon in Cancer yesterday was on my Chiron. If you know Chiron, Chiron is the wound that we carry, and Cancer Chiron is nurturance and self mothering, and also mothering in general. But for me, it's in my first house, so it's a lot around how I mother myself. So the moon was like on point. This makes sense to me, and it was directly opposing my Saturn, which is like it was on my 10-year anniversary of my business where it's like celebrate, achieve, work hard, diligence, hard worker girl. And then the other side is like, I'm really just a sensitive gal who needs to do stuff. I'm sorry. If you're watching the YouTube, you're like, oh my God, is she laughing? Is she crying? I don't know. Oh, pull it together, holes. No, no, I'm sick of pulling it together. Oh, so this is the reality of where I'm at, guys. I'm so sleepy and I'm getting my sleep. Oh my God, I'm a mess. I'm getting my sleep. It's a culmination, as I said. I think it's also like if you were on my New Year's ceremony, you'll know that some of the intel I was getting was like the new year doesn't start right now. We're not going to really feel that for a few weeks at least. And I think that this is an additional shedding that's actually needed to happen for me in my micro around other things that are needing to drop off and fall away and die and crumble. And there is this part of me, like in the first decade of my working for myself, where I'm so good at overriding my cues for self-care, self-reflection, not self-reflection, constantly reflecting. It's self-nurturance. It's so cliche, but I'm not, I do all of the things that are my natural rhythm and order of like day-to-day foundational practices for living in alignment. Like I'm great at that stuff. It's more like, I haven't been on my own retreat where I'm actually receiving rest or like a retreat since I went to Billabong retreat probably 15 years ago with my mom. Like I work at other people's retreats and other people receiving retreat. I don't do it for myself. Like it's that like when was the last time I took myself on a trip away to rest? Like I had 20 flights last year, but none of them were for me to go away and actually have a holiday or have a break. Not one, not one. All of it was work or to be there for other people. So this is where I'm at. And somebody's got to give this year for sure. This is all information for me. This is all intel. So I'm really, really not being a victim. I'm just explaining to you guys where my head's at. I need a sip of water. Oh, did you hear that gulp? So the other thing that actually happened over the last week was I got my royalties back for both books. So Putting Yourself First, which is my first book, the bestseller, that sold in the last, it's in 6-month increments, but not the last 6 months. It's like March to September is the time that I get my royalties. So in that time frame for Putting Yourself First, I sold 36 copies. I mean, it's still selling 3 years later. So that's pretty good for a book in Australia, for a non-famous person. So yeah, that was, I made a couple of $100. Sick. Oh, maybe not even a couple of hundred. It would mean $130 or something. Saying yes to you. This was going to be the telling royalties period for me, right? This is like the book launched end of March. So this royalties period was March to September. So the first 6 months of the book's life, right? And I had received an initial royalties report for just the period of March when the book launched. And the book launched out to market with about 3,500 copies. So that was when the book went out in the world. Booksellers around Australia, there were 3,500 copies dispersed, right? I got my royalties report. Guys, it's regressed. It's regressed. 700 and something copies have been sent back. to the publisher. That was confronting as. And I actually didn't get emotional when I saw that. I got angry because that book took everything, everything. I know I've said it time and time again. I know I've said it time and time again. That's the thing I'm most proud of in terms of what I've created in work. It's the thing I live and breathe. It's the thing that saved me. It's the thing that brought me back from the brink. It's the work that I feel like if I leave one legacy, it's got to be this book. And it's regressing in term like that means like I've sold less than initially forecast by the publishers, right? And so I got that royalties report and I looked at it and I didn't get emotional, surprisingly. I got angry because she was in luteal. And not at anyone in particular, just angry at the result because it makes no sense to me when the first book is done so like mind-bogglingly well. And it didn't, what surprised me was there was no part of me that went, I need to work harder to promote this book. I need to talk more about it. I need to share more about it. I need to get it in more people's hands. I need to get on more podcasts. Like that's actually, I feel exhausted at the thought of that because I actually spoke more about this book than I did about my first book. That's the greatest irony of all time. Like I put literal money into promotion for this book, like my own money, like thousands of dollars of my own money, not my publisher's money, me backing myself, because part of the agreement that I have with my publishers is they only support me for like a month and then I'm on my own. And annoyingly, they even gatekeep the contacts that they have for PR. So I can't then go and manage it myself. It's actually not like, I don't like that at all. There's a lot that's actually been illuminated to me around maybe I'll self-publish my next book because, yeah, this has I felt very, very isolated in the marketing and the promotion of this book. And then I've funded it myself. And then I feel that I've gone above and beyond and the performance is regressing. And this is all information for me, right? So I looked at that and I was actually quite impressed that I didn't look at it and go, I need to do more. Because that definitely would have been my knee-jerk reaction even just a year ago. But I got to this place of like, nah, I know the book is solid. I know it is. I can stand behind those teachings and I know there's nothing like it in the world. I know that it will end up in the right hands it's supposed to, and maybe it has a longer life than some of the other books. I also know that my first book was like it blew everyone's mind how well it did so quickly. I think it was reprinted 3 times from launch. Like it was like a freak achievement. And I think maybe this is almost illuminated to me just how much of one it was, because this second book is just like, I go to say it's a flop. It's not a flop. There are 2,500 copies out there in the world. That's something. It's just not what I anticipated. So yeah, it's been an interesting one to sit with. But also alongside that, I have decided on my third book and I do feel I'm going to self-publish it. I've been really inspired by my friend Britt Wild, who has self-published, written 2 of her first 2 books in 1 year last year. And she's had immense success and continues to, as she freaking deserves to. And she has been in my ear being like, you can do this, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. So I have had the idea for my third book land. It will be my 4th book because my children's book is with my publishers. I've already signed that deal. So yeah, we'll just see. That's just been something that's also been playing in the background. And my beautiful friend Cass has also had her baby. So I visited her and him, and I'm actually going to stay with them tomorrow until Wednesday, or by the time you're listening to this, it will be today until Wednesday, just to give her some extra help, which would actually feel really nice. It will be really healing for me to do that. But again, do you see, like me being in my Cancer Chiron, like how can I mother everyone else in my life? And it's like Holly as a party. Anyway, there was something else I wanted to tell you guys before I get into the questions. There's been so much. It's only been a week since I've spoken to you guys. There's been so much. On the 1st of Jan, I did the ceremony in the morning and then we went out for lunch. If you're on the call, you'll know Trent messaged me. He was like, we're going to the pub for lunch. So we went and did that. And then we came home and I was just like, like almost adrenaline-y. That's the word. I was really running on adrenaline. And I was lying on my bed and I was like, I'm too adrenaline-y to nap. I don't want to do a Dr. Joe Medi because I don't know what I'd focus on. I don't want to set my goals right now. I don't want to set intentions. I haven't done any of that. But then I just kept hearing in the back of my mind, Moulin Rouge, Moulin Rouge, Moulin Rouge. I was like, And it's like, Moulin Rouge. I'm like, really? I got to watch Moulin Rouge? And my intuition just kept going, Moulin Rouge, Moulin Rouge. I'm like, okay, don't have to tell me 80 times. So I jumped in the bath, put my magnesium in the bath. I was like, I can do that. And I opened my laptop. I put on Moulin Rouge. Guys, context. Moulin Rouge is my favorite movie of all time. You guys might not know that because I forgot about it. I didn't forget about the movie. I just forgot how much I loved the movie. I know how much I love the movie. Am I making sense? But since I've been with Trent, which is 18 years in 2 weeks' time, not once have I watched it because he said that to me. He's like, hang on, you've spoken about this movie before, but I've never seen it. I've never watched it with you. Why haven't you watched it? I was like, I don't know. It's really strange because my 16th birthday party was Moulin Rouge themed. I'll put a photo in the Soulies group for you guys to see. Questionable theme for a 16th, by the way, especially someone who had like an overprotective father. Anyway, Moulin Rouge themed birthday party. I remember going to the movies and watching it with my mum when I was like 12. Like, I love the soundtrack, everything. We used to play Moulin Rouge when we were kids. Not kids, but still questionable. Anyway, loved it. Loved it. And that was my first introduction to Baz Luhrmann. He's my favorite director of all time. I think we can all understand why. He gives Leo extravagance. I don't even know if he's a Leo, but it would make sense that he'd have a Leo heavy chart. Let's be real. Anyway, open the laptop, put Moulin Rouge on. It starts, I burst into tears. As soon as it starts, I burst into tears of this remembering, of this deep soul joy, this just happiness, this like obsession with the art form that he has created this story through, the storytelling, the story itself, the performing, the acting, the music, the songs, the soundtrack, the color, the fact it's set in Paris, the time, like, the era it's set in, not the era, that's very Taylor Swift coded, but everything was touching me before the sad bits, because we know if you've watched it. P.S. How many of you have not watched it? Because I got a lot of that in my DMs. I was shook. Best movie of all time. Stan, super Stan. But do you know what I realized? I was sitting with it going, why? I love this movie. It brings me so much joy. I would watch it again tonight and love it. I've been playing the soundtrack on my drives. If you drive past me on the Northern Rivers, I'm definitely belting, my gift is my song. Like, I'm telling you. Anyway, and this one's for you. Oh my God. My dad hated it, hated the movie. He criticized Nicole Kidman. She's not a singer. She butchered, what song is it? One Day I'll Fly Away. He used to like get so upset when we played the soundtrack and that song would come on. Was it Etta James that sang? Anyway, this is my dad, very heavily critical of anything music related because that's his life work. He lives and breathes music. And this is why I've told you guys in previous episodes that I have like this whole complex around me being creative in terms of musical theatre and my voice and all of these things. Anyway, so I had all these memories flooding as I was watching it where dad was like, they butchered that song. She can't sing. This is ridiculous. This is appalling. Criticism. And this is a phosphorus healing. Oh, I've just let you guys know what remedy I'm on. Anyway, this is the homeopathic remedy that I am journeying with, where it's reconnecting me with the purity of art and joy from my younger years before I was told I was wrong for enjoying those things. Because I sat in that bath and I withered away. It's a 2-hour movie. I got pruned up, but I watched everything, start to finish. And I felt so inspired. I pulled out my Pinterest and I was like, Moulin Rouge aesthetic. That's my aesthetic for 2026. What does that mean, Holly? It means glitter, glamour, showgirl. It means stages. It means, it's the essence and the frequency of maximalism, being the most, being extra, taking up significant space. The core pillars of Moulin Rouge, if you need to be reminded or if you haven't seen it, are freedom, beauty, truth, and love. This is literally the Aquarius North Node and the Leo South Node that we're moving into. It's based on the Bohemian Revolution. You can't get more Aquarian and Leo coded than this movie. And so my intuition and the remedy were guiding me to Moulin Rouge as a piece of art that could heal these parts of me that were leaning into, I don't really know what energy I'm wanting to cultivate this year, but more more than that, like, how can I look on and lean on art forms that are going to inspire me to be the fullest expression of myself in the world? And for me, Moulin Rouge is that. It represents all of that and more. Baz Luhrmann is that. Nicole Kidman playing Satine is that. Ewan McGregor as the grieving poet is that. Especially because it is going to be my nodal return. So this is all very core karmic energy in me, and my Aquarius North Node is in the 8th house. So this is about love and grief and life and death and the taboo and polarizing topics and just everything about it, guys, you can hear. Like, I have been very inspired by that. I can't wait to actually sit down and do my reflect and project for the year with Moulin Rouge as almost like the essence of the inspiration. It's like my muse for the year. It's not that I want to go and work as a courtesan in France, although one of my listeners / friends will tell you she is a past life Akashic Records reader, and I did have a lifetime in France as I think I was a maitre d', or like a madame. So there is definitely a past life connection for me there, but it's so much more than that as well. Anyway, that has been literally since I've spoken to you. All of that. It's been like, no wonder I'm tired and like crying. And I do think that after this, I am going to probably get in the sauna, even though I shouldn't, because I just need to sweat. I just need to get all of this. I need to move this energy. I feel very sluggish. And I do think also tomorrow is a fresh slate. It's a clean slate for me. It does feel like it's more, we're getting into new energy. I'm going to go back to actually nourishing myself. I've realized in going a little bit further the other way, like how important that is to me, and like get back into my healthy rhythms and habits. I also think I need to go on a retreat this year, to be honest. So if you guys know of any good ones, let me know. Not ones that I work at, ones that I can actually just receive. Oh, even if they're close, if they're down the road, like 2 nights away is all I need. Like, I'd love Gaia or Eden to be like, hey, come and stay for 2 nights. Fuck, that's a dream. Let's put that out there. Anyway, let's pivot. Are you guys keeping up? Are you guys keeping up? Let's pivot into your questions. I've got so many. And what I'm going to do is, you can see if you're watching the YouTube, or can you see? You probably can't. Anyway, this is the Soulies group. Really going to go through questions in the order that I see them. So some of them might overlap. I might repeat myself. I think the most important piece for you guys to know, and these are all questions related to running my own business and having a successful, and by successful, I mean it's been profitable every year for 10 years, which is kind of unheard of in business land, I got to say. Anyway, tooting my own horn for a second. I don't have very many overheads. We'll talk about that. What I want you guys to know is I haven't planned these. I haven't planned for these. I've not sat and thought what I'm going to say. I'm literally responding to them in real time. So you're really getting you're picking my brain. It's as if we were sitting opposite each other, having a cacao, having a coffee, having a chai, and you were picking my brain. That's what this is. Okay, are we ready? She needs another sip of her water. Also, can we just take a moment for the green matching my green? This is Maureen Ev. I've got the matching pants on. I'll show you guys. Not every YouTube will be a fashion show, but some are. See? Oh, so comfy. Elastic waist. She's got no bra on. Also Maureen Eve, or Maureen Ev. It's actually Maureen Ev. Necklace. Beautiful. This ring that I'm wearing is from Turkey when I went with my best friend Leah. I think we were 23. That's from the Grand Bazaar in Turkey. And this glass that matches my shirt is, I don't know where these are from. I think they came up. Okay. First question. I love Q&A episodes. I'll do more of them. Any big lessons or hiccups where you learnt the most about yourself and how to move forward from them? And these are all in the context of business. Big lessons or hiccups where I learnt the most about myself. Do you know what they've been? They have been when I have been complicit in someone mistreating me. So as I said in the beginning of the episode, I have a Capricorn stellium in the 7th house. The 7th house is marriage, yes, but it's all partnerships. So this comes to any sort of collaboration in business. So This for me, when I have my Saturn, my Uranus, and my Neptune there, I get a lot of karmic connection, and a lot of it is good. And sometimes it's karmic to teach me lessons that I need to learn through being in relationship with other. And when I say, and especially that Saturn piece, and especially during my Saturn return, when I say when I've been complicit, it's when the people pleaser in me in the past has allowed people to mistreat me, undermine me, belittle my intelligence for their gain in ways that have been subtle, that would be disguised potentially maybe as humor, or of healthy debate, but intuitively I've always felt off. I've had this happen multiple times in my work, especially in the earlier years where I was establishing more of a name for myself and would pedestal people who were that little bit further ahead of me and almost project that they knew more than me onto them. And so there have been more than one time this unhealthy exchange or this unhealthy dynamic where I've started to question my worth, my knowing, my shine. And more than once in my business have I turned down my light and dimmed myself to make other people I'm collaborating with comfortable. And that's, in many, many ways. So the biggest lesson I've felt burned by people, and lost trust in building relationships with people in a healthy way that can be healthy in the friendship, healthy in business, and healthy in supporting one another and encouraging one another to grow. The thing where I learn the most about myself in business is absolutely where I start to undermine myself for the sake of other. And I've had to, in business, grow not a thicker skin. It's not that. It's a backbone to actually step in and say, that didn't feel good, or no, I don't agree with that, or no, I actually don't want to do that. And this can also be in really little ways, like not in the heavier ways I've been alluding to, although they have been really intense. But even in ways where, someone, and this happens often, where a friend who's also running their own business in kind of complementary lines of work will come to me and they'll say, I had this idea for a program and you and I should do it together and it's going to look like this and all we need to do is blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, hang on. I love this creativity. I love this idea. I can't commit to that. I do not have the capacity for that. And so that's also been trial and error. I'm a 3-5 in human design, where I have had to overstep my own boundaries to realize in hindsight, shit, I shouldn't have said yes to that thing. So a lot of what I say yes to now when it comes to collaboration, partnership, anything of that regard has taken deep and true consideration. In the past, it wasn't the case. I was just saying yes to everything that was landing in my lap. And that has been in the past to my own detriment. So I think that that's definitely been a really big lesson or hiccup where I've learned the most about myself in terms of like, these days in business, I'm very discerning and deliberate with what I say yes to and what I decline. And I think I've had to overstep my own boundaries to actually even learn what they are in the first place. And right now you can see I am overriding my own capacity because I'm learning what that looks like again. So it's kind of that, like, another big lesson or hiccup when I was starting my readings, when I was shifting from coaching to reading, and I was taking on 10 clients a week sometimes. Like, these are in the early stages. I don't think, unless you guys work one-on-one, you might not understand, especially as a psychic or any sort of energy worker, 10 clients a week, just because I could book them doesn't mean I should have. I got so burned out and so unwell. And at that time, I didn't realize you could burn yourself out doing things you loved. I thought you could only burn yourself out like when you work corporate and you don't really love it, And so that was another time I overrode my boundaries to go, hang on a second, this isn't actually sustainable, which is why you only see my calendar is only open for 2 sessions a week, especially now that I'm a mum. But even when I didn't have a child, I was only seeing 2 clients a week. So I think a lot of the big lessons and hiccups have been in me overriding either a boundary or a behavior showing up like people pleasing, being the yes girl, being the agreeable one, being quiet because I don't really want to like, oh, it's okay, I'll just let that thing slide. And then realizing over time that actually I'm overriding my own value and worth. And you actually can't be successful in business if you're doing that, because then you're always putting the needs of everyone else before your own. And if you're putting the needs before everyone else before your own in business, then what's the point of running a business? Because you're just doing handouts and favors and dimming your light at the same time. So yeah, I think it's been a good few years where I've definitely shifted gears, and my books have helped me do that too, writing my books. So I would love your ideas on how to treat social media as a way to be of service to cultivate community that is sustainable. Yeah, great question. People shit on social media, and obviously it has its bad points, but I just wouldn't be where I am today without it. And especially Instagram for me. And I think definitely in the last decade, the landscape has changed. When I started out on Instagram over 10 years ago, but when I shifted into a business account 10 years ago, it was much easier to grow a community and a following. It was much easier to get eyes on your work. The algorithm has changed, you can imagine, immensely in a decade. And, in the first 5 years of my business, I grew my account to, I want to say organically, by the way, I've never bought a follower, never bought a like, never promoted a post. I've never, nothing is bots unless they bots that have found me themselves. But my following is completely and entirely organic. And for someone that has absolutely no, mainstream famous persona, like I am proud of that, because it's also a super engaged following. And this is feedback I actually get from lots of my clients or not even clients, my friends who run businesses that I will then, because I'm a cheerleader of people's work when they do good work. So I naturally and organically share and champion other people's work. You guys will be surprised how few people do that, by the way, but I will always do that. And when I do, I get this feedback. I'm telling you countless times by practitioners who are like, you shared me and I got 50 follows, and someone with 250,000 followers shared me and I got 3 follows. And this happens in my own experience too, when people share me and they've got hundreds of thousands of followers, and I'll be lucky to get a follow or two, and then someone else shares me and they've got 6,000 followers and I get like 50. And it tells me so much about a person and how they have nurtured their community. It tells me so much about, is this person, and whether they've bought their followers, to be perfectly honest, but is this person actually nurturing their community, and can they call it a community? Because a community is mutual exchange in conversation, right? It goes both ways. Or is it just a following? And I think that that's the difference. It's so ironic that it's the term influencer. And I do think that term is outdated now, because part of being an influencer is being influential. But if you're sharing things and people aren't engaging, then that's not very influential. If people don't trust what you're sharing, if there's no trust built within you and the creator, then they're not influential. So are they an influencer? Is someone an influencer just based on the fact that they have, 6-figure following? Like, I think we've got a long way to go in terms of actually understanding the true definition of what it takes to be influential. Anyway, for me, I think in the first 5 years of my work, I built over 10,000 followers organically. And a lot of that was through posts that I did that were then picked up and shared on bigger accounts, and people, finding me and that. And then it's been a lot harder a slog for me to now convert people. And I think that's just the nature of Instagram in particular. People have shorter attention spans. They don't quite engage with the content like it used to be. People are jumping more over to TikTok. People are jumping over to YouTube. So And actually, when I first started, I was also on Snapchat a lot. That I dropped that away and I gave it my all to Instagram. So I think if you are running any sort of business, and I was talking about this with Trent because he obviously runs his own business too, and this has only been a few years for him, but something that he doesn't do is he's not consistent with his content. And it's a necessary part of business. I think something that worked in my favor was that I had 5 years in strategic marketing under my belt. And so I was actually developing digital strategy, including social media strategy for publicly listed clients. So I knew that I needed to build a community that trusted me. How do people trust you? Well, they trust you when you're honest, and they trust you when you share vulnerably and with authenticity. And these are not the buzzwords. You do not have to tell people, I am going to share with you vulnerably and authentically, because that reeks of, okay, well, she's not going to be vulnerable or authentic. This is just you finding an outlet that is truest to you. People don't want to be sold to time and time again. And this is where I've swung too far the other way, because I just show up and I'm just myself, and then I forget to sell. So don't do what I do in that regard. But I think when you've created a platform that you want to generate business from, the underlying, well, there are a couple of things. You want to build rapport and trust with your community. No matter how many followers you have, forget the follow account. Forget it. Forget it. That will grow in its own way, in its own time. Work with what you've got. If you've got 500 followers, right, and 50% of them are so engaged, they watch every story, they like every reel, they are commenting on everything, they are yours. That is 250 prospective clients. That's huge. Versus if you're aiming to reach 10,000 followers for whatever that means for you, but you only have 1% of them, maybe if you're lucky, engaged, you know? So this is where you need to actually think about cultivating the community you already have, building trust with them. How do you build the trust with them? It's about them actually building a relationship with you. So for a few years there, I had my DMs off on Instagram. This was after I had done the work to build my community online. I could take the break in that regard. At the start, I was responding to every DM, engaging in every DM, every message, every inquiry. Like it was my community that I was cultivating in the inbox time and time again, responding to every comment as soon as it came through. I'm not doing that anymore. But that was definitely in the early days. The other thing you want to think about, so how am I building trust? What value am I bringing to these people's lives? Where am I adding value to their lives? And not once they've paid me, because it's going to take people. In the past, when I worked in corporate, it was 7 brand touch points. It's something like 20 or 30 now, where people have to be reminded of your brand that many times before they trust you enough to buy from you, right? 20 or 30 touch points. Like, that is a lot. They need to be reminded of you a lot before they build the trust to purchase from you. So what value are you adding to them? Like, you guys listening to this podcast, this is a value add. I don't get paid for this unless you're a sponsor. I mean, anyone want to sponsor me? Unless you're a subscriber, in which case, thank you. But I think there's like 20 of you that have subscribed, and there are like 400 listeners. So this is where it's like value add. What are you giving people just for being part of your online community? That is not join my membership, that is not book a reading with me, that is not come to my retreat. Like, people need to have an experience with you that is not an exchange of finances before they then build that rapport and trust and, okay, yep, I'm going to do this thing. People are much more, back when I started, people were a lot easier to have that trust. It's saturated out there now. So to continue to be this trustworthy source for people, you have to keep adding value. The other thing, I spoke about the brand touch points. So keep consistent as well. And that doesn't mean you have to post every day. This isn't about, you guys know I don't. I mean, maybe on my stories I'm posting as often as possible, just to stay present in people's world. But of the like 16,500 people that I have in my community online on Instagram, I reckon I'm averaging anywhere between 300 views on a story to maybe 2,000 views on a good day. So that just shows you the percentage of people who are actually seeing my story content versus the people I have in my community. It dwindles all the way down. There was another a marketing fact that I knew back in my corporate days, which was 15 years ago now, so it could be different now. But for, say, every 100 people who saw a piece of content in their social media feed, say a post, 100 people see it, you're going to get 90 people do nothing. They'll probably read and look. They might even like what you've shared. They're not going to like, they're not going to save, they're not going to share it, they're going to keep scrolling, right? 90% of people are doing that, right? Then 9% of them, 9 of them might like it. They might comment on it every now and then. They might save it. They might share it to a friend. Then you're going to have your 1%ers, and they are love hearting every single story, commenting on every post. Yes, Queen Glow. I know I can name you guys. I can name my 1%ers. I won't do it, but there are so many of you listening, and you know, because I come back to you and I say, thank you for always cheerleading me. Thank you. I notice every time. I can tell you the people, my followers, whether we have worked together or not, by the way, that like every one of my stories. Everyone. I'm a chronic liker too. I'm love hearting left, right, and center. It does not cost a thing, but it means the world to small business. And I will say this, if you're not running a business, but you're not love hearting all over your friends' stuff who are, what is wrong with you? I swear to you, it gets under my skin. And I have this in my own personal life. I could have like a huge business achievement, and I have amazing friends who are always like, yes, this is amazing, cheering for me, liking my stuff, whatever. We notice the people who are cheering for us and celebrating us. We work on it by ourselves. Like, it's us against the world. It takes a lot to show up and be constantly creating in this way. So just to flip that question, if you're not running a business, or even if you are, how are you being that 1% for people? Because that's what gives us the ammunition to keep going. But the other thing for those of you who are business and creating these communities in social media online, keep in mind the 90%. Because you might do a post that gets 15 likes. Oh my God, it's so hard to get likes these days, might I add. So hard. Like, you're not alone in that. Like, it's like pulling fucking teeth. But you might get 15 likes. That doesn't mean only 15 people saw it. That doesn't even mean only 15 people saw it and liked it. There could have been another 30 people who read it and went, yes, and then forgot to like and just kept scrolling. So this is where it's just continuing to show up and share, adding that value. Try to capture people somewhere where you can directly market to them from social media. I was going to say Instagram, but any social media. So that might be a newsletter list. That might be a wait list. It's just some sort of database where you own the right to contact them off of a platform. And that's just basic business hygiene, so that if anything happens with social media and the, world implodes on itself and then social media shuts down forever, it's not far-fetched, then you still have a way to market to people. Like, your email database, it's actually a goldmine. So that is something that we should be definitely thinking about building out as well. And I don't do this anywhere near enough. I have a pretty solid database though. I think I have about 2,000 people on that list, but it could be bigger. And this is just about you saying, like, incentivizing people. Why would they join your newsletter list? If you want to have this free 5-minute drop in with me, join my newsletter list and I'll email you once a month, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to email you regularly, but it's just you opting in to receive, marketing from me from time to time, something like that. So capturing those leads off of social media and into a way of where you are owning access to their inboxes. How to treat social media as a way to be of service to cultivate community that's sustainable. Yeah, so I feel like I've shared a little bit of that. Like, social media is a way to be of service. It's definitely the value adds. When I first learned cacao ceremony and I first became a ceremonialist, I shared free ceremony with my Instagram community for a year. No paid ceremonies. I just showed up. And I think I ran, and there'll be listeners here who joined them. I think I ran about 10 for free. And that was me giving back to my community. That was building trust with my community. That was people sitting ceremony with me and going, oh, there's something in this. Free one-off workshops. I used to do them in the early days. Remember, guys, I'm 10 years into things. So a lot of this stuff I did in the first 5 years, I haven't had to as much because I have such an engaged community. But this is what I was doing in the foreground in those four years of, is that a word? 4 years? Anyway, of building a sustainable business. If you're watching YouTube, I'm very sweaty. Can you see? Can we see? Yeah, we can see. Like, I had a Facebook group that was called the Wellness Hub. Who was a member of the Wellness Hub? Anyone there? And that was in my first few years of business, where I just had this group that I jumped in and I did Facebook lives to, and the group could connect with each other and they were like meeting offline, and I was like developing this community. We had Wellness Hub meetups in person, all free. value add, value add, value add. I mean, the Souls channel on my social media, that's just another value add for you guys. I'm not getting paid for that. These are all ways that we've got the tools to cultivate community. Your close friends list on Instagram, inviting people onto your close friends list. If you want to learn more behind the scenes about my life, join my close friends list. All you need is your email address, and then boom, you've got this community where you're backing and forwarding with people. Like, how can you capture and engage community that actually want to learn more about you and your life behind the scenes? That's it. People want to be flies on the wall. They want to know. They want to, yeah, they want to feel like they're receiving something that no one else is. So they are some tips and tricks. Something you wish you'd have known when you started. For us newbies to reflect on. Something I wish I'd known about business before I started. Hmm. Hmm. Something I wish I'd done before I start, or not before I started, when I started, yeah. I wish I was putting a percentage of my income aside in a savings account. I only started doing that last year. Can you believe it? I've never paid myself. But when you say that is like, no, I had a stage where I was paying me and Trent $750 a week for my business. That was a very profitable few years for my business. That was when I was doing a lot of online programs and I also didn't have a child. So I was doing six figures in my business for a couple of years there. And that was a lot of work, but it was a really financially successful time in my business because I was able to, for I reckon 2 or 3 years, pay us as a couple $750 a week. And that was like such a win for me. And then I became mum and it all turned to shit. And I don't know when I'll make six figures ever again, to be honest, in the limited time I have. But something I wish I did do when I started was put a percentage of everything I earned aside, not a certain figure. So when I said $750 a week, actually feel like I should have done a percentage of what I earned that week, because when you work for yourself, you'll know it's very ad hoc. You don't know what you're getting. Cash flow, some months you'll be really great. Some months is very, very difficult. There'll be weeks you make nothing at all. There'll be weeks you'll have a couple of $1,000s or whatever the equivalent is for you. And so what I've started doing in the last, it's even been 6 months really, is 20% of what I earn goes into my savings and then 20% goes into my tax. And that's something I've always been good with my tax. And I do, like, you're running a business, you've got to take this stuff seriously. So find out the percentage that's right for you. But I always like to have more rather than less. And I do pay GST because I have been, I am a PAYG business and all those things. So I get my PAYG statements every quarter. I get my BAS done. I outsource to an accountant. I do not do my own tax. I do not trust myself with business tax. I know that this is all my Virgo, but I'd rather it done properly. And on I'm not kidding you guys, on the 30th of June, I'm emailing my accountant going, when can I book in to see you? And I'm always in July getting my tax done. Like, I feel like it's the financial savviness that's really key when it comes to running a business, especially when it comes to being aware of your profit and your loss, your cash flow. When are the good months for you? When are the not so good months, so that you can create some sort of financial trajectory or buffer for yourself? But for me, I've always been able to pay, for my treatments or my supplements, or especially, the year before last where I was just like bleeding money for my health. I think in that year I spent $30,000 on my health, but that all came, I didn't have to take that from our family money for my little girl and Trenny and our mortgage and those things, because I had a business that was able to fund that. That said, if I had been putting a certain percentage of my money aside for the last 10 years, we can imagine it'd be a very different story, where I wouldn't have felt that I was bleeding money so much. So these days when I am paid, I take 20% straight away. It could be a $33 Heartspace membership. It could be a $440 reading. I am taking 20% and I'm putting in my tax account. And I have a tax account I do not touch, except for dire times. Then I pay it back. And then I have the 20% that goes into my savings account that I do not touch, because I get interest on that, right? So that's something I would have started a lot earlier. I think with the tax, I've been doing that from the get-go because I'm in very good habits around tax. But when it comes to actually prioritizing my own savings from my business, that's something that I would have a look at and set up as, because then you can see the growth that you're having in your own financial well-being. And just do the percentage that's right for you. It might be 5%. It might be 2%. It might be 30%. It might be 50%, whatever feels good for you. For me, the sweet spot is 20% into tax, 20% into savings. And I do wish I'd set that up when I started my business. Anything else that I wish I'd known when I started? I actually, to be perfectly transparent. I had a really good understanding of what it took to run a business because I worked in business helping other businesses run businesses. Like I always joke that I got an MBA from the work that I did because I literally just was in the back end of so many listed companies and their businesses. Plus, I was working in a small business and I was basically second head of this business. And so I knew a lot when it came to starting out. And I actually, Jess, who worked with me for 7 years as my ops manager and VA, she always used to laugh and say to me, Holly, people have no idea how strategic you are behind the scenes because I don't present that way. But guys, I have a Capricorn stellium. I have 3 Virgo placements. I'm you see this version of me, but obviously someone who's run a business for 10 years, there's a lot that you don't see. I'm very deliberate and intentional, especially in the earlier years, especially with things like marketing and the brand, the way that I position myself as a brand. And that is something where I've had to be early on. I've known this, like I am my brand. You might not be your brand. Your product might be your brand. You might have a brand for your product. But for my example, I am my brand. And I think that people can, when they're starting out, forget that. Like you don't, how do I want to explain this? Being your personality, being your brand might not be for you. And so I think a lot of the time we can get really tied up in because we offer a service, then we should be the brand as well. And it's about being really discerning with what you will or will not share in the parameters of you as the brand. Now, an example I can share with this is, obviously I'm a mother, obviously I talk about motherhood. There are majority of you do not know my little girl's name, and majority of you have never seen her face, right? I have been in a relationship, a very healthy one, might I add, for 18 years. I do not talk about my relationship. I rarely share about Trent, right? Like more on the podcast than on social media, but like people could scroll through my posts and think I was single with no child, right? That is my brand. Not single, no child. Definitely not. But I'm not on there to talk about relationship. I'm not on there to talk about the specifics of my daughter, to share her with the world. That's not my brand. My brand is very different. And so, and a lot of people can get this confused with me, I think, when you've consumed a lot of my content, you see me online, you see me on the stories, you think you know me because I've shown up so much, especially on the podcast. There's a lot I don't share. But you guys don't know that I'm not sharing it because I'm not sharing it, right? So that is also something to think about, and something that I think I needed to get wrong in the earlier years was the oversharing, the sharing too much while I was in the process of a thing. I definitely am still sharing while I'm in the process of things, but I'm more deliberate and I have containment around that. And I definitely think that's part of it too. But to be honest, so much of what's in my chart is trial and error. So I think if anything, what I would want to know is like so much of running business is winging it. And do you know what else? Pivot, 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 pivot. If she says pivot, if you get it, I love you. If you're not good at pivoting, you're not going to be good at business. And this is something I said to Trent last night, actually, because if your business isn't growing, it's dying. If your business isn't growing, it's dying. And that is something I learned in corporate, and it's the truth. If your business is not in an upward trajectory, then something about it is dying, and that requires a pivot. We need to be okay with change. We need to be okay with going, okay, coaching isn't working for me anymore. I'm going to pivot into psychic readings. Okay, like I did mediumship. You guys know this. Mediumship is not working. I'm depleted as I'm injecting vitamin B12 in my legs. I got to pivot. I got to do something else. Okay, shit. Okay, I was body love girl, and all of a sudden I don't want to be body love girl anymore. It's not working. I need to pivot. Oh, my book royalties for the book that I'm the most proud of in the world is declining. I need to pivot. Maybe I need to self-publish. Oh, my podcast is doing really, really well, but like, how am I going to make money? I need to pivot into areas I can make money. Constant pivot, constant changing, constant moving. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. Sing it with me. Sing it with me. Okay. Any strategies or outsourcing you use to help get ideas off the ground and moving? I always have a constant stream of ideas and they're really cool and impactful things, but making them happen in a tangible way is not my strong point. Gal, then you don't have a business, because business is making things happen. So if you have a challenge with the ideas coming through and being unable to execute them, that is something I would take to a kinesiologist, a therapist. I would look at your chart and see where Aries is, or what planets in your what sign is in your Mars placement, the planet of execution. Something about being good in business is being able to execute in the moment, because and I will recommend a book here for you, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you haven't read it, or if you have, read it again, because an idea or an inspiration that comes to us is a gift from the divine, or whatever you want to name it, but it is a gift. And if we don't do something with it, that gift will go to someone else. Right. And so there is, what I'm reading in this is something, and the best personal development work you can do in yourself, other than becoming a parent, is running a business, because it will illuminate your shadow qualities and the parts of yourself that you actually need to lean into and break through. The biggest work on myself I've done in terms of consecutive years has been by working in my business, because I cannot cop myself out for the sake of comfort, because then as I said, your business is either growing or dying. So with this question around a constant stream of ideas, and they're really cool and impactful, but making them happen tangibly is not my strong point, then you need to figure out why. And I would do the 5 whys exercise, which is in my first book. Why? What's the root of that? Because if they're really cool ideas and you're getting the ideas, lots of people don't have ideas. That's what's stopping them. You've got the ideas, you've got the inspiration. Then are you feeling excited by them? Because you use that excitement as the ammunition to get it done. And if you still can't do it, then there's something in that. What's the root? I would figure out that root using the 5 whys technique, and then I'd take that to a kinesiologist, because so much of business is getting to the root cause of why we aren't doing the thing. So for me, my business has constantly been this stretch into shining, stretch into taking up space. I'm a projector in human design. I need to be able to be seen for people to give me invitations that feel aligned. If I'm not seen, I'm not getting invitations, and then I feel bitter because I'm not getting anything that feels aligned. So one of my intentions, I don't know how this will happen, I'm open, but I want to double my following this year, because the more, I think I've said this in a former episode, the more eyes on me, the more books I can sell, the more memberships. Like, I've set my business up now where I don't need to do more work to make more money. I've actually got a lot of the work already created. And for me, it's more eyes on me. So I need to do the work on my nervous system and in energetic ways to what is blocking me from expanding more eyes on me, right? For this one is the energy work around action, taking action. Why aren't you taking action? What are you afraid of? And for a lot of us in business, we're afraid of success. It's the Marianne Williamson quote. It is our light, not our darkness, that we are most afraid of. And yeah, I do not fear failure. It's success. And so I would assume that there is something in there. Yeah, currently working on this on a variety of levels for myself, but keen to hear your 2 cents based on your lived experience in your biz. To be honest, Gal, I've not had this issue. If I have an idea, I'm acting on that idea. I do have my MC in Aries, and your MC is the point in your astro chart that points to business and work that you're here to do in the world. So I march the beat of my own drum. I'm unapologetic in going after what I want. I don't look around at what other people are doing. I just do my own thing. I forge my own path. So I think that is part of it for me. I am an action taker. I just do the thing. I just get the thing done. Because if you don't, then I just don't know. I think this is a necessary part of running a business, is the action it takes to run the business, right? And so it's not been an issue for me, but if it was, I'd be looking at the energetic undercurrents and I'd be working on those. And then I'd also probably be working with an ops manager or a VA where I could voice it out. And this is what Jess was really great for, where I would have her on Voxy and I'd just be like, hey, gal, this is what I want to do. I want to create a podcast. This is what it's called. I want to use this image. Can you go and make this happen? Can you research these things for me and get back to me and give me a list? Like, that was great. I would love to have another VA/ops manager who wants to work with me in that capacity. Again, if that is you, please reach out. So having a sounding board was really good for me, especially as a self-projecting projector. I would say having a look at pulling those levers, because yeah, we want to get you acting on the things, gal, because that's where, otherwise you're just going to be sitting on ideas. Yeah, we don't want that. We can't have that. How to start, practical stuff like ABM, website, etc., plus overcoming any self-doubt. P.S. Congrats on a decade-long business. Thank you, gal. How to start. Yeah, this is going to take me back in time. Yeah, the practical stuff. So you do want to set up your ABN straight away, and that will be through the ABN website. So literally just going in Google, being Australian business number, and then apply for one. It's free. Then I can literally quote my ABN off the top of my head. That's how much. You want an ABN, you want a tax file number. If you don't have one, though you all should have one. If you're in Australia, that is your equivalent country's tax things of choice. And then you also, depending, if you have a product-based or service-based company, even if you are like you're opening an energy space or whatever the brand is, but it's not your name, you want to trademark as well, or you want to have a look at if there is another business. I've seen so many people lose money and have to rebrand again because they haven't looked at trademarks. So trademarks can be really, really exy, which is something that I've just not had to think about because I am a sole trader. And so this is also where you want to sit down with an accountant and talk about the structure of your business. I've been a sole trader for a decade. We've spoken in passing around potentially opening a trust, like a family trust. I haven't had to do that, but I'm not a proprietary limited company. It makes no sense for me to be one. So I have been a sole trader for a decade, and that has served me incredibly well. So this is where you want to seek out, and I would go with word of mouth, a really great accountant who you can sit down with and say, I'm establishing a business. I am a small business or a sole trader. Which structure should my business be? How can you set me up an ABN? This is where we do not do these things alone, right? Unless you are an expert and you know how to do them, why would you? So that would be the starting point. When it comes to a website, you definitely want to have some sort of online footprint. Then it also depends on what your service is. So when I first started my business, I did my own website. It was a couple of pages. It was literally, and it was free. It was on, I forget even the name of the website tool at the time. I think it was Calendly, and it was like there was a booking tool to book with me and about my work, and it was coaching, and that was it. And once I started to grow money and savings in my business over time, I was then able to invest or outsource in some brand building. I think there was one year I spent 10 grand on a website. Guys, you don't need to do that. You do not need to spend 10 grand on a website. Like, Squarespace is so user friendly, so intuitive. Where I would put my money is actually on really quality photography. So whether that's photography of your product, photography of you, I think that it's more photography that you can use as content, because content is king. So images on your social media, images on your website, but websites don't need to be too extravagant. Definitely SEO is part of that, which is search engine optimization. But if you were sharing very clearly what it is you do and why you do it, less why you do it, be less wordy, be just very clear with your copy when it comes to, that was actually my first job in corporate, was a copywriter for websites. So you just want to be really precise and clear. You want to prioritize like the keywords you want to be found under. Say there, psychic reader Australia, cacao ceremonial. So you would prioritize the way that the Google bot reads is, it's like this little spider that reads in the way that the human eye, and it scans every page on your website. It's an invisible spider. You can't see the spider. So it goes left to right and top left to bottom right. The priority in terms of where the Google SEO spider, and this could have changed, but this is what I knew back in my corporate days, it prioritizes bottom right because your human eye goes top left to bottom right. It prioritizes top left, bottom right, and then literally the copy that's at the top sentences more than the bottom sentences. So this is why your navigation bar and the words you use in your navigation bar are key, because they're going to be higher prioritized when it comes to search engine optimization. This is why your social media buttons at the bottom of your website, particularly if they're more toward the right-hand side, going to be a priority SEO placement. Your logo or your business name in the top left on the website, again, priority. Like, this is where you can get quite strategic. And guys, AI exists, so you can ask Chatty, give me your top 10 SEO tips. But this is the thing; these are the things that people don't actually realize. And maybe you guys will all take something away from this, but the more that you also have a consistent presence across every single social media platform, even if you're not using them, that's also prioritized by Google. Now, Google loves websites like YouTube because YouTube is owned by Google. So even when I didn't actively post to YouTube, I had a presence on YouTube, and that was because I knew it would boost my SEO. I have a presence on LinkedIn. That's another example. Even though I don't use LinkedIn, I know it boosts my SEO. I have a TikTok account. I don't go on TikTok anymore. I tried that last year for the 58th time. I fucking hate it. And I can't deny it, I hate it. But I have a presence there because I know it boosts my SEO. This is it. And I actually will say that TikTok has outranked Google as the search engine of choice for most people. So being actively posting on TikTok is great SEO strategy. So this is where you can start to get quite deep with things when it comes to the back end. And this is definitely what I did in the first 5 years of my business. 100% this is what I did. I was SEOing everything. Having a blog on your website, back in the day, maybe not so much now, but I reckon it would still, it ranks you higher on the SEO Google ranking. And this SEO matters when you're a new business because you want people to find you on the first page of Google. Because if you're not found on the first page of Google with the keywords that you want to be searched for, then you might as well not exist. And that's the same for when it comes to the keywords you want to be found on Instagram for. If people are searching, for energy reading of the week and you're not having in your caption energy reading of the week and in your hashtag energy reading of the week, whatever the terms are, this is where you actually need to be strategic about how you're being discovered. This is all stuff as I'm speaking about where it's like, I have not done these things in years and years, but this is absolutely what I did in the first 5 years. So that is what I would do when I would be starting out. I would also, again, what I said, have a newsletter database that you're directing people to. And in my first 3 years of my business, guys, I sent a newsletter every week. Every week, people got a newsletter from me. And that was when I had 30 people and they were my friends and family. And then the newsletter grew to hundreds. It was sign up to 7 days to self-love. It was my free ebook for anyone who joined my newsletter list. 7 days to self-love by Holly as a Party. And it was the quarter life crisis kit. And then it was like there were all these incentives for people to join my database. This is what I would be doing. I would be building my database like a marfuck. I think we get so caught up in the following numbers. It's like, guys, that is only part of it. Like, when I signed my first book deal, Putting Yourself First, I maybe had 12,000 followers. Like I wasn't a famous gal, right? So, but they saw that I'd done the back end. I had a newsletter list. I had programs that kept selling out. I had for lack of a better term, my friends who are influencers, inverted commas, much more like bigger followings than me, look at me and they say, Holly, you have a cult-like following. People are obsessed with you. And I tell you why, it's because I nurture you guys. It's because I talk to you like a human because you are. It's because we've built this rapport with one another. I cannot tell you the amount of times people DM me and say, I don't know what it is you do, but I just want to work with you, right? That's what we want to build with people, okay? And it starts from the ground up, right? I hope that has been helpful. Okay, lots of other questions here. This is a big episode. How I plan my week, my months to do all the things: finances, marketing, content creation, course ideation, partnerships, admin, etc. Lol, I don't. Don't. That was one of the biggest things that came through to me last year where I'm like, I need to get a little bit more deliberate with my time because as a stay-at-home mum, I only have my Fridays, and my Fridays are when I see a client in the morning and then I get on top of my emails, and then I'm a projector in human design. I have 3 hours maximum for energy output, and then I'm fucking maxed out. So by the afternoon on Friday, I'm not working. And so that has definitely been something that I have been neglected in the past, well, since becoming a mum and running my business. When I was more consistent with these things, it was when I had Jess working for me, and we just had this rolling Voxer where I would talk things out with her when it came to content creation, course ideation, and I'd be like, oh, I'm thinking about this, thinking you just go and do X, Y, Z. And if you've worked with me in the past, you'll know I constantly say I am the queen of outsourcing. I've passed it on to my little girl. I'll ask her to go do something for me and she goes and outsources it to her dad. And I'm so proud because I'm like, yeah, make other people do the things for you. So I would say for me, this is why I want a VA/ops manager to come on board again, because I need to get back into the place where I have an idea for a course and we sit down and we talk it out and then we go and execute, where I need to be given an action list and I'll get it done. And same goes, like I'm very good at just saying, this what needs to be done. Can you go and just manage that? I do not micromanage. I like to think I'm very good to work with because I was taught how to manage people well. And this is why Jess worked with me for 7 years. You can go and ask her, like she had a great time. We had a great time together because I just trust that people will do what they're good at and I just need to stay in my lane. So when it comes to finances, I have my bookkeeper and my accountant that are on top of it, and they just email me what they need from me or their queries, and then I pay. Something that I am really good at with my finances is when I get an invoice, I pay it that day. And that's unless, my cash flow is out, but I'm very, very diligent with that. So, and I always have been. So outsource all my finances. Marketing, I actually have not put money into ever before in my business, which is really interesting and something that I've been toying with because now I have this evergreen catalog of programs and like all of these, manifestation magic. It's a life-changing course. I know it is. Psychic studies, life-changing. I'm toying with potentially putting some marketing budget into sharing those products far and wide. But the first step is actually me talking this out with an ops manager or as someone strategic, because I just want to get clear on what that could look like. And so this is where you can see I'm almost at a bottleneck in my business right now because I just need this person, this wizard to come in and maybe like, I just need to talk all these things out. I actually do have a one-off session with a beautiful angel who I've worked with on and off in my business for years. She's just not actively doing this work right now. Otherwise I'd be like, come and work for me forever. But we are talking about course ideation. We've got a 90-minute session. I think it's 90, it might be an hour, booked in next Friday to talk out, my next course. So I definitely, a lot of it for me is outsource, talk out. If I don't have it scheduled or someone holding me accountable, I just won't do it. And this is where I have felt more isolated in my business the last few years because I haven't had Jess. Jess went and started her own dance studio, guys. Like she's gone on to much bigger and better things. But back when I was working with her, we definitely had a lot more structure around this. Any business hacks or tips I've learned for productivity or creativity? For productivity, definitely eat the frog. I don't know if you guys have read that book, but it's such a business cliche, but it is like the grossest, yuckiest thing that's looming over your head. Do that first. Get it done. Just tick the box. So for me at the moment, the frog that needs to be eaten is Vimeo, and I'm trying to eat it. It's just disgusting. I can't swallow it. They're just not getting back to me. So I'm waiting to have that chat with my ops gal on, I want to say your name, but I don't know if you want me to out you, so I'm just going to leave it my ops gal next week. I know you listen. Love you. And Vimeo would be my frog right now, and also what else? Getting my calendar sorted. So that sort of stuff. It's like the annoying, admin-y, low-hanging fruit. I'll give you another example. For Trent, he needs to post a reel. Bless him. He was gifted a lawnmower actually from Bosch. Pretty good. And in exchange for content. Bless him. He's an influencer, and we created the content months ago, and he hasn't posted it because he hasn't done the voiceover. Doesn't matter what, you could be an electrician and have blockage when it comes to being seen or your voice being heard, right? When none of us are immune to this. So it's eat the frog, get the low hanging thing that's frustrating done, like that for productivity. Amazing. The other thing is, these are all things I learned in corporate. The moment you get interrupted in a task is 20 minutes you don't get back. So say I'm working on something, I'm doing that email admin, and then Trent comes in and asks me a question and he interrupts me. It's going to take me 20 minutes to get back to the headspace I was in when he interrupted me. So I'm very big on, if I'm in work mode, the door is closed, we do not interrupt mummy. So that is definitely it. I am the type of person, again, being a projector, I work really hard and fast for 2 hours and then I'll just stop and take a moment and go outside. But I need to have a dedicated office space. I need it to be clean. I need to know the house is clean. Like that is a little bit like, it's just my unhinged thing. It's not even unhinged. It just is. Clean house means clean headspace for me. So she's so Virgo shadow. She's so Monica from Friends. So that definitely helps with productivity. If something isn't flowing, leave it. Done is better than perfect as well, I will say. Done is better than perfect. Get the thing up. You can finesse it later. No one actually cares if there's, like, I had a typo in my story today and Trent's like, why don't you take it down? I'm like, because no one cares. No one cares. I don't care enough. I'm not like, don't waste time on little things that actually don't, it's not the be all and end all of your business, right? Like we can get so caught up in the fine little details. Oh, I'm a perfectionist. It needs to be perfect. It's like, but at what cost, right? So be wary of where perfectionism can overrun productivity for sure. Tips for creativity. Creativity is you are going to be a much more creative person if you're tending to your channel, for sure. I write my best stuff when I'm in flow, when I'm in channel, when I'm so connected with my intuition, when I'm so connected with my heart. You can see I actually put my phone down for this if you're watching, and I'm closing my eyes because that's the headspace I need to get into to share this. Is like creativity is an essence. It's an energy that wants to be embodied. You can't just turn creativity on. It's not a light switch you can turn on and off. And I think this is where people can get quite confused. It's like, oh my God, like where's the creativity? It's not coming. I need to like live a creative life and you will be creatively inspired constantly. Some of my best ideas come when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving, when I'm in that flow state, when I'm in that theta brainwave, right? And so you want to find opportunities just overarching in your life where you're in flow state regularly, where you're attending to your channel regularly, where you have your energetic hygiene, you have your boundaries. Like your creative essence is an extension of the life you live. And so have a look at your life. Have a look at where you have state of flow activities in your life, where you're looking after your physical health. Like, guys, I feel so shitty today. I am not my creative. I'm not going to sit down and try and write a poem after this. I'm not going to go, okay, and now it's time for me to like force the creativity out. You can't force creativity. It's an essence. I am more inclined to feel creative when I've taken a week off my work and I'm walking on the beach, which I haven't done in so long. My God, I'm so red. If you're watching this YouTube, it's just getting progressively worse. Look at me. Look at this hair. Anyway, that is what I have to say about creativity. Handling failures or things not going as planned and how you pivoted instead of internalizing them. So in postpartum, I launched 2 programs, Guided and Channel. I did a photo shoot for them. I spent hundreds of dollars on those images. I created the sales pages. I got on my phone and I was marketing them. And I was like, I was fresh postpartum, so depressed, needed to get validation from my work. And no one signed up for either thing. And I've never had that in the history of my business. I've never had it since either. So don't leave me hanging during my foundations launches in a month or so. And I did internalize them. Like, I feel like if you're running your own business, especially if you're a sole trader or a small business, it can't not be an extension of yourself. Like it can't not be your heart out there in the world. This is why, great example. When I got my royalties this week and I was like, 700 people, like 700 sellers have sent it back. Gone, nah, not selling, don't want it. Like that fucking hurts. It hurts. And so I think the thing is first, let it hurt. Don't dismiss that when we are creatives or artists or business in some way, business when it's our business, this is our family's livelihood. This is whether we can take time off over Christmas. This is whether we can have a holiday this year or not. This is so much. And if you're listening to this and you don't run a business, like good on you for like wanting to listen anyway, because I don't think people realize. I feel like if people realize, then we'd be checking in on our friends who run businesses more, truly, because this is an extension of our hearts. And so when something like that flops, it fucking hurts. Let it hurt. And then take it to a kinesiologist or a therapist. Unpack the lessons, work on yourself, speak kindly to yourself, like not work on yourself for improvement. How can I do better next time? Go, I am human, necessary ego death. You know, when my first book got rejected by my publisher and I thought I would never write a book ever. Ego death. Like if you're not failing, and I speak about this in the second book that everyone hates. No, I'm joking. That's me being bitter. I speak about this in the second book. If you are not failing, you are not living. Like to live is to fail, and to fail over and over and over again. And I know for me as a 3-5, I'm meant to fail. This is how I grow. So I've actually become friends with failure, and failure is feedback. Okay, this is what the market is ready for. This is what, okay, people aren't ready for that. Okay, maybe my ego was too tied up in that being the success when this is the success. Like guys, cacao was the success for me last year. Didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming. I thought it was the book, and it was a complete pivot that I didn't even make. It was life pivoted for me. So I think we do need to keep on our toes with those things and just be wary that if you're running a business, you are going to fail time and time again. And that doesn't mean you're running a poor business. It means you are getting feedback as to what the market wants, what your energy wants you to be doing, who you should be working with, where you should be putting your money, where you should be investing your energy, all of these things. Like failure is feedback. Failure is feedback. So have a think about the most recent inverted commas failure that you have had in your business and what feedback did it give you? And then that's the reframe. Yeah. How I use astrology in my business, like products, courses, book launches. When's the most ideal time and worst time based on astrology? Well, the first thing I use astrology for in my business is I know my MC. So we should all be aware of our midheaven, your MC. And if you have any planets conjunct that, it's usually most of the time in the 10th house anyway, but it could be 9th house. And also what sign rules your midheaven, your MC, because that is you and your business. You're running a business. Other planets in your 10th house, what planets do you have in Capricorn? I would just say that as a whole is going to determine the type of business person you are. Also knowing your Mars, because this is going to determine, this is a planet of willpower, determination, taking action. For me, my Mars and my Mercury, the planet of communication, are conjunct in my 2nd house, the house of making money. So it's very clear in my chart that I am here to make money communicating. Super clear, and doing it my way because I have an Aries midheaven, right? And being conscious of partnerships because I have the stellium in Capricorn. Do we see? So I would get a chart read through the lens of business potential. Oh my God, I could do that for you guys. Do you guys want that? Why don't you offer some of those? Like business flavored chart reads. I could even do them pre-recorded. Oh, do you like that idea? Let me know. I'll do some pre-recorded mini ones. I just pull your chart up and go, okay, this is how you want to show up in business. I'd love to do that for you guys. Okay, there's that. First, knowing your chart in general. Then I have a look at Mercury retrograde. Ideally, I'm not launching in Mercury retrograde. It can't be avoided sometimes. I have literally pushed back on signing a book contract. I said in my call the other day that I signed during Mercury retrograde. I actually didn't. I went back and had a look. I pushed back and said, I'm not going to sign until Mercury's out of retrograde. So can we sign it now or can we wait the 3 weeks? So I definitely make choices around contractual agreements in Mercury retrograde for sure, because why fuck around with it if I don't have to? That said, I love doing readings in Mercury retrograde because the veil's really thin and I know I'm psychically inclined more. When I sat Jules Ferrari's energy of the year ahead, she did share that there was the Neptune transit into Aries and the Mercury retrogrades in Pisces, the eclipse season in Pisces season, and Scorpio Mercury retrograde this year. Great time to launch specific products around intuitive development and psychic development. That obviously informs me of when I would more likely launch. But for the most part, I'm not actively looking at windows. I am for the heart space because obviously it's nice to work with the lunar cycles or some sort of zodiac change. And especially because astrology does inform my business in general, and I am more of a psychically informed business anyway. So it probably informs my business more than if I was doing my modeling work, for instance. So they're the kind of things that I definitely look at. My book, when I didn't get to choose my book launch date, but it just so happened that they chose it to be in an eclipse window, so that, which is a destiny point. So that kind of stuff I always find funny in hindsight, that you don't need to plan it down to the nth degree. These things kind of sort of have a way of lining up anyway. How do you get your best business intuitive downloads? When I literally, kid you not, happens in the shower all the time. All the time. When I'm out there living my life, when I'm living a really beautiful, and that's probably why I've also felt a little bit like meh, because I've not been looking after myself. I am also like on my first day of my bleed, like I feel bloated. I'm not going to get good downloads right now, right? But the other night when I was hearing Moulin Rouge, Moulin Rouge, Moulin Rouge, that I hit some sort of intuitive creative brilliance in that moment. So when I was watching a movie in the bath, right? So this is where it's like you can't actively make that happen, in my opinion. It's more about how are you tending to your intuitive self, your energetic self, your hygiene, the way you're looking after yourself in all facets. Go out and live, go out and have your showers, go out and listen to the music that makes you feel good. That's when the drop-ins will happen. Dream Life Foundations came through in my shower. The other night before I went to bed, literally was lying in bed with my eyes closed. My third book, the title and the byline dropped in. I had to open my eyes, open my phone, write it in my notes. It's when you're living a beautiful life that these things will just land more freely. Oh, that was the next part of the question. Do they just come to you, or do you have a process for getting in a flow state? Honestly, my process is my living my life in the way that feels the best for me. Yeah. Who most inspires me in the business world when I need a pep talk? Do you have favorite creators or business experts or podcasts? Okay. Fun fact, guys, I don't listen to podcasts. Not one, none, unless I've been interviewed and I want to listen back to the interview. my God, I'm so sweaty. So that is very funny, but yeah, I don't really listen to biz experts, and I probably should. This is my Aries MC showing, right? I know I could be more financially successful in my business if I was more inverted commas strategic and deliberate. And there's a little part of me that's like that could be cool, and there's a big part of me that's like I'm not at that season in my life. I do have some creators that I really love, though, when it comes to wealth and being seen and fame. Like they're the thing, money and recognition are what and she's a projector. So they're the content creators that I love. I'm going to forget them because, as I said, I didn't prep these, but I'll pop them in the Soulies group. I love Whitney Newland. She literally is an LA coach that teaches people about the energetics of fame. So she's a great follow. I always watch her videos. There's also that chick. Oh, she's a projector too. Pretty sure is she three? No. Yeah, she might be 3'5". A lot of you follow her because I see when we all like her at the same time. She's also from the States, and she talks about more the energetics around making lots of money. So I'll post her in this group too. I love Florence Given just as you know what? I look at less like I need a pep talk and more like who embodies the essence that I want to be. And then I just use them to be in their frequency in terms of like I engage in their content and I follow them and I DM them as well. Like I've DM'd Florence Given a couple of times. I've DM'd Zoe Foster Blake's another one who's like Australian that I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love to kind of follow in her footsteps in the publishing world. She's written 20 books. Like she's amazing. I love her. And so engaging with their content and being part of their content is how I feel inspired. So I will pop a heap of them in the Soulies group for you all tomorrow. My practices to cultivate trust when sitting in periods of unknown in terms of next steps and also feeling financial scarcity. Yeah, okay. That's a big piece when it comes to running your own business, because the reality is, especially if you're a sole trader, small business, cash flow is king and nothing is guaranteed. And so you're going to have months where you are like on top of the world and months where it's really, really, really hard. And I took Trent to lunch today as part of my business lunch to just say thanks to him because of the support I've had from him, financially, absolutely, since I've become a mother. Like he has had to step up more financially because I am a stay-at-home mother now. I only have a limited amount of hours to look after myself, the priority, and then put into my business. So that has been part of it for me, where in the financial scarcity, I've been able to lean on my partner. And that's the reality. And that has put more pressure on him in his business. But that is a reality when you become parents is, especially as a primary caregiver, which is the role I've taken on, my potential to work has completely diminished. And so my financial ability to earn has also diminished in that. And so there's been a little bit more financial scarcity that I've actually had to adjust my opinions of self around, like when I'm not the breadwinner, because there were years in our relationship where I was out earning him and I made that mean something about me. And so that's been a big piece. The cultivating trust, the thing that I have a lot of friends that run their own businesses. It's great. Something that I speak out with a girlfriend of mine. She's my best friend. She runs a interior design company, and we always talk about the inhale and the exhale. And we'll literally get on and be like, "Oh, I'm in an inhale at the moment. It feels great," or "I'm in an exhale and I'm ready to take the inhale." And we're talking about money. And so this is something that I always come back to. It's like the tides or the breath. There will always be an inhale after an exhale. It has to. There has to. Unless it doesn't exist anymore. There's always an inhale and an exhale. And it's the same when it comes to finances in the business. You will always be in either an inhale or an exhale. And then you'll inhale again and then you'll exhale again. And then you'll be like, am I going to be taking this breath? And then all the money will come in again. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm in an exhale. I have all these expenses. And then you're in. So I do like connecting the rhythm of money to the rhythm of the breath when it comes to I'm in a financial inhale, I'm in a financial exhale. That definitely helps me cultivate trust in, those periods of the unknown financially. Financial scarcity, if there was ever an opportunity to look at money stuff, it's definitely running a business. And that for me has been intrinsically tied in my value and where I consider I am worthy of charging what I do. I was speaking to Trent about this today. It's like something about me saying that I've been in business for 10 years makes me feel a lot more solid in the premium price point that I do charge for majority of the work I do in the world. Because if you've worked in a business for 10 years, you've had a few pay rises. If you're like a senior, you've been at a workplace for a decade, you're a senior. You're like someone who advises other people. When you work for yourself for some reason, or when you especially work in the line of work or the industry that I am, it's like, oh my God, you charge so much. It's like, dude, what do you want me to charge? The same that I was charging 5 years ago? That's not okay. Like, I deserve my pay rises too. I deserve my, recognition of the work that I'm constantly doing too, and the study and the accumulated debt when it comes to paying off courses and doing things in a hygienic way, in a safe way. Like, there's so much to it. And so I think that that's also helped me. It's kind of a divergence away from the direct question, but back myself when it comes to pricing and what I do charge. But trust, when sitting in periods of unknown, is definitely becoming familiar with and comfortable with surrender. And I know that that's a buzzword. Surrender Experiment is a great book to read. Michael A. Singer, brilliant book. And it is that notion of there's only, if you've done as much as you can do, that's all you can do. And then you've got to let life take care of the rest. And sometimes I think we can put so much financial pressure on ourselves to make our work be the one and only thing. But just to reiterate, guys, I was juggling 4 jobs when I first started this business 10 years ago. I was working in retail at a jewelry shop. One of my shifts was 9 a.m. in the morning on a Thursday till 9 p.m. at night on a Thursday by myself, not sitting down, while I was writing freelance articles that I was pitching behind the counter, while I was also doing $50 cash jobs to get testimonials under my belt. It was like, I just need people. I need word of mouth. I'm going to give them my best work ever. And I'm just going to do 10 sessions at $50. That'll be my first $500 in my business. This is literally what I did. And at the same time, I was also booking promotional modeling work. So I was working on the weekends and at nights. I was a Bavarian beer cafe girl. I was working at the cricket 3 days a week. Like, I'm not kidding. When I was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, I burned myself out in those first few years. I knew I needed to we need money. And I think that a lot of the time we can start a business and go, why aren't I making bank? It can be a couple of years. Why aren't I making bank? I can see all these people making bank. Why aren't I making bank, guys? It took me so many years juggling multiple jobs before I was able to actually, I was managing editor for Depths of Beauty. I was getting paid $500 a week. I'm pretty sure it was around that, to do that job for 2 days a week while I was doing my business. I was being a freelance strategic marketing consultant to wellness brands. Like, I did so much in the first, I want to say 3 years of my business. That was because we need money to live. Do not all of this pressure on yourself to make the one thing be the thing. Like, especially if you're only a few years in, give yourself grace and find something that can be that stability for you financially, so that you can still have the creative joy to fuel the thing that you are starting up, right? And a startup isn't just a few months old. You could be a few years in. I think the stat is like, most new businesses fail in the first 3 years. Don't put all your eggs in one financial basket in those first 3 years. That would be my advice for that. Did I have anyone in my life discouraging me from leaving the security of corporate or in your own head? And how did you deal with that? Yeah, me. I feel bad saying that, because I don't want anyone to think like I hated the workplace. It wasn't anyone's fault. I just was in a soul destroying thing that was never for me. And I knew that 2-3 years into the 5-year role. And I talked myself out of leaving. Guys, I was made redundant. I think I've shared that story in the first book. I was made redundant. It was the same week my papa died, my grandfather. It was awful. It was an awful week in 3-5 Holyland. And I had a choice to make when I was made redundant. I could have gone back into a marketing job, or I could pick up that retail job and go and study coaching. And I backed myself. I went, I know that I'm so unhappy in this current job. I also know I need to make money. And that's the reality of it. Me and Trent moved back in with his parents at the time. This was 10 years ago, so I was 25, 26. We moved back in with his parents, so we were paying minimal rent. We were able to do all of these, make all these decisions to make it work for us financially. We lived at home with his parents for 2 years when we got engaged. And it wasn't until we married and we were moved out. And that was when I had to pick up other jobs around, and make it work. So the discouraging me from leaving the security of corporate was myself. Very pragmatic, and I couldn't see how I could make it work other than the 4 jobs juggling, and I burned out doing that. But that was the reality of the situation that I was in. And I think a lot of the time you can get these people advising you, just follow the vision, follow the dream, jump in and life will sort it out for you. Do not put yourself in financial stress or debt. Do not do that. That is very, very silly. Like, no dream will thrive when you are struggling to get by and you're accruing debt and financial obligation because a coach told you that you should go all in on a dream. Yes, within reason, but make sure that you have your financial stability sorted to start. It's so important. It's so important. And no one can tell you what that looks like. Only you can decide what that looks like. Ways to best connect and expand your network through online methods to open up opportunities. Engage, celebrate people, share the people whose work you love, your stories, and tag them and thank them and get into their comments and have conversations with them and slide into their DMs like I did to Florence Given the other week and be like, yes, girl, I'm loving everything you're doing. She's not going to look at it. She's not going to reply. She might one day. We go laugh about Holly sliding into Sam Hewen's DMs, but are we doing that? Are we sliding into the creators' DMs that we love, or are we just assuming? And don't do what I get all the time. Don't do this. Never DM'd me and if this is you, I forgive you, but please don't do this. You never reached out to me ever before, and then you slide in with a voice note pitching yourself to me. Hey, Holly, love what you do. Saw you have a podcast. I'd love to come and talk to your guests about blah, 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 blah. Because that tells me you know nothing about me and you're just seeing me as an opportunity to expand yourself. Because if you knew about my podcast, you know I don't interview people. And so that instantly is a red flag to me. You've got to stop looking at people as reasons why they are going to get you ahead. Because I'm telling you guys, my DMs are flooded with that, and it's a really yucky feeling. And I don't think anyone is meaning anything bad in it. It's just icky. It's icky. The way that you can start to expand your network online is engage with your network online and encourage people, celebrate people. Me and Zoe Marshall were DMing each other for about 2 years before we met up in person when she came up to Byron, and then we hit it off straight away. And then she started talking about those retreats, and I was like, I'm in, get me there. Let's chat on your podcast. Amazing. 2 years of just building trust. It's that trust thing again, right? Back and forthing. This is where, I think we can be quite entitled, and entitled to people's time, energy, and how we can leverage them for us. And this is where it's like, I'm always a celebrator and championer of other people's work. Are you doing that? Like, I'm talking to all of us. Like, are we doing that? Are we sharing? You had a really great massage on the weekend, and if anyone in your area, you should book in with this person. Or, oh my God, I just got my limps done, and Simone's who I go to in Byron, like, you should go and see her. Or I just sat this amazing ceremony and I felt this thing. You guys should go book in it. So we don't do it enough. We do not do it enough. And the people that do it, I'm telling you, are the people that get the opportunities, because they become, I clock it and I see, and I'm like, okay, this is who I'm going to come to when there is an opportunity, because I can see that they're not just in it for them, and this is all my Saturn Capricorn partnership stuff. So I'm very, very hyper aware of this energy, but I hope that makes sense. And the final question, if I could go back in time 10 years, with all the knowledge I have today, what would I still do the same, and what would I choose not to do? Love that question. I would literally do everything the same. Literally do everything the same, because we know the butterfly effect, right? Like, one thing that I might take away and say, oh, I would never do that again, could impact the entire trajectory of where my business went. And I loved creating, as much as it killed me, the 2.5 hour content thing. By the way, this episode's going for ages. As much as I loved creating it, as much as it took ages, I loved looking back and going, oh, that's right. I emceed that. And I emceed alongside the Commando one year. And I was invited to Lorna Jane's book launch. And, you know, when I was doing the body image stuff, I went and did this photo shoot. And that was when Tash Oakley and Devin Brugman invited me to the Monday Swim Yacht. And when I was on the Monday Swim Yacht, that's when I met, you know, this person who came onto this podcast. And like, every single thing I have done has led me here. And there has not been one moment where I've gone, I fucked that royally and I would never, ever do that again, because it's all been a lesson and it's all brought me here. So I think in looking back on the last 10 years, I'm grateful for even the hard times, you know, the year that I was in postpartum depression and I launched the business, the courses that never sold, or even recently, you know, with my second book and the humbling that it's been, where it's like, oh, it might not do as well as the first book, like genuinely shocks me. And it's like, this is what business does. It invites you to your edges and you have to lean all the way in. And it is humbling. It's an opportunity for you to allow yourself to be humbled and to dismantle more parts of your ego. It's so funny because if you met me 5 years ago, yeah, peak Saturn return holes was a time. But even 10 years ago when I was first starting out, as much as I was afraid of my voice in ways that I definitely don't hold anymore, I also did have a really healthy ego. And I think, or like a really tough ego. And I think that, I'm just waving to my little girl if you guys are watching. I think that the business has been this beautiful opportunity for me to become less egoic and more appreciative of just the opportunity to create and to share, and people wanting to invest in that. Just in terms of like wrapping up the episode, running this business. Oh, and then I'll pull up my business's chart because I just find that so cool. Running my business has been the biggest plot twist. I never ever thought I would do this. I knew I'd write books. I never thought it would be personal development books. I always thought they would be fiction. I never thought I'd have a podcast. I never thought that I would have thousands of online followers. Like I never saw any of this coming. I didn't plan for it. And I think that that's something with a business is like, you can hold the vision, but also just take one step, one foot in front of the other, and let the doors open. Like trying to follow the glitter, the light, like without needing to know it needs to go exactly this way. I think the looser our grip is on our creative endeavors and our businesses, and the more that we can just go all in on ourselves and how to show up as the best version of ourselves, truly. I mean, I know that this is unique because I work in personal development and spiritual development, but I as I said, even for Trent, as an electrician and someone who runs his own electrical business, the same goes. The more he works on himself, the more he can show up in his business. And so I think for me, that's what it is. Business is the avenue I have to be the best version of myself. And I'm so grateful for it. I just love doing it. So thank you all for being here in whatever way it's been over the last decade. What a joy. And I'm excited because I genuinely feel like I am just getting started. This is just the beginning. That's how it feels. I can't wait to see what the next decade involves. Oh my God, watch this space. So here's let's wrap it up. This is my business chart. So we all know Sun's in Capricorn. Its moon's in Libra. So my moon is Libra too. I share the same moon, which makes sense, right? It's the heart. My business's heart is my heart. Like, it makes fucking sense. It's so cool. So it's a relationship driven, balancing people and partnerships, creating a space where others feel seen and supported. Then the Mercury of my business, the voice of my business, is Aquarius. Innovative, future thinking, sharing ideas that spark connection, expansion in unconventional ways. We love. Its Venus is Sagittarius. My business values freedom, adventure, storytelling, and guiding others toward growth and insight. Its Mars is in Libra, so it moves forward through collaboration, diplomacy, harmony, action that seeks connection rather than conflict. Its Jupiter's in Virgo, so service, it finds expansion in service, precision, refinement, growing through helping others in practical and meaningful ways. Its Saturn's in Sag, so the framework around vision, philosophy, and teaching, lessons through expanding responsibly. Its Uranus is in Aries, so sudden insights, pioneering moves, shaking things up. Neptune's in Pisces, so intuition, dreams, and collective resonance, tapping into inspiration and higher guidance. Pluto's in Capricorn, so reinventing foundations, letting go of what no longer serves, and building with endurance. And then the north node of my business is Virgo, which is mastering systems, service, and tangible results. And the south node of my business is in Pisces, floating aimlessly over surrender or diffusing energy. So interesting. Or as Chatty, because I plugged it into Chatty, I basically said, hey, chat, my business, the very first client I saw was on this date in Sydney at this time, and it pulled up my chart. I can't believe I haven't done it earlier. And so the summation Chatty gave me was, my full personality of my business is the Capricorn sun brings steady ambition, the Libra moon holds space for connection, the Aquarius Mercury sparks forward-thinking communication. It's a brand that builds legacy with heart, listens intuitively to what others need, and moves with strategy and diplomacy. And I feel like that basically sums up everything that I spoke about today. So on that, thanks for listening. Super jumbo fun episode. I'm exhausted. It's 7:00 at night now. I feel like this is a 2-hour episode or something. I lost track of time. I'm going to go and drink a lot of water because I'm so thirsty now, and then have a bath and a cry. Love you guys. I'll be back in your ears midweek for your What's the Vibe.